There's a new Netflix drama called 13 Reasons Why.
13 Reasons Why.
13 Reasons Why.
13 Reasons Why. 13 Reasons Why. 13 Reasons Why.
It debuted this spring, and since its release, the show has drawn attention for its graphic depiction of suicide and other very depressing and adult topics.
Two California men are urging Netflix to stop streaming 13 Reasons Why because they say teenage girls in their families committed suicide after watching the series.
In today's global village, social media holds more power than anything. It is a way for people to communicate and indulge in entertainment produced all around the world. Many organizations get on this global media train in order to produce texts that are for the consumption of people outside one country or nation in order to reach a wider audience. These multinational businesses aim for their media to be relatable or replicable. This way, the target audience is larger, leading to greater possible revenues. Netflix itself has given rise to many independent filmmakers and companies to air material as a product for consumption to a large audience worldwide. These creative writers must make sure the content they are developing does not offend any social, political, or cultural group. This gets tricky when many people are involved. A perfect example of this is a show like 13 Reasons Why, which has amassed large followings consisting mainly of the adolescent crowd. This show tackles sensitive issues such as bullying, rape, and suicide. Based on the book by Jay Asher, the series is narrated in the point of view of a fictional character, Hannah Baker, who records her story of how she was mentally and sexually harassed onto 13 tapes, with each tape named after a different person who was either the cause of her distress or of someone who chose to neglect her. Hannah sends out these tapes just before committing suicide. We as the audience begin to unravel the reasons through Clay's point of view as he listens to each tape. Throughout the season, there are scenes with extreme bullying, rape, and gun violence. It loosely refers to the classic 1989 blockbuster Heathers that also revolves around the chaos theory, little things having a larger impact on the bigger picture. We've analysed what this show attempts to communicate to the mass audience through the first season. Thereby, this short documentary will give an insight on how adolescents think and behave differently after having watched the show. And if such shows do more good than bad for the society we currently live in, are these society-mirrored shows acting as wake-up calls, or do they glamorise controversial topics? The show, developed by Brian Yorkie solely for Netflix, was produced by July Moon Productions, Kick to the Curb Production, Anonymous Content, and Paramount Television. Other programs on Netflix are movies and TV shows from all around the globe, catering to many different tastes and genres. As Netflix isn't a pay-per-view service, it's difficult to know the profits made on this series. However, it is one of Netflix's top shows. Catherine Langford, who plays Hannah Baker, reportedly has an average annual income of $1 million, with her co-stars following closely behind. According to a marketing analytics firm, JumpShot, the first season was the second most viewed Netflix season in the first 30 days after it premiered. The series also showed an 18% increase in week-over-week viewership from week 1 to week 2. Similarly, there were 3,585,110 tweets about the show during its first week on Netflix. This suggests the rapid growth of viewers of audience simply weeks after the show was aired. Many marketing tricks were used by the PR team in order to make the show successful and the subject of many conversations. Take a look at the Instagram accounts, for example. A few days before the first season aired, the PR team made Instagram accounts for each character, which familiarized them to the viewers. Characters like Zach Dempsey had photos that you would usually find on pages of most teenage jocks, such as lifting weights at the gym or winning a medal. Alive but suicidal Hannah, on the other hand, would have captions hinting her struggles and pain. There were even Spotify playlists set for each character. Jessica Davis's playlist contained subtle and indie music, whereas Justin Foley would be more on the rebel punk rock side. The extra mile covered by the crew members allowed the audience to connect with the characters better, and thus we're more drawn to the scenes in the show. Lastly, with Selena Gomez's massive fan following, promotions made on the singer's social media alone must have gotten enough buzz.
I think 13 Reasons Why was really needed because it showcased how deep-rooted the problem of teen suicide in our community is. And a lot of reasons mentioned in the series go unnoticed. However, people tend to misinterpret the meaning behind the series. Like, I think the creators could have done a better job in making the message more clear,
I think the series made us understand more about suicide and what women think. Since we get to be part of the mind, to be part of POV or the reaction of Hannah Baker, and we get to know, sympathize with her better. But I think what she did sometimes is overdone. Something that she did is not it's too much. Yeah.
My name is Adil Quattro, and I think 13 Reasons Why is a piece of shit, and here's why. The show glamorizes suicide by using shock value with scenes that should definitely not be shown to people who are suicidal. The show relies so heavily on making people drawn to it that it doesn't stop to think for a second whether it should show the things it's showing or not.
I don't think it glamorizes suicide.
Yeah.
And I think the series helped show the reality which many people seem to overlook, and it encourages people to speak up.
Personally, I didn't really enjoy the show, but I believe that it has discussed mental issues in a way that it connects to teenagers more, and I believe that it's encouraged teenagers to speak about it more to adults because they can relate to the show, and thus I feel like it has stimulated more of a conversation, which is what today's world needs.
So I personally think that 13 Reasons Why promotes teenagers to talk more openly about their mental stance while also not promoting the romanticizing aspects of the whole mental illness problem.
The interview showed differing views, which was not enough to conclude what the mass audience felt. So, we sent out a survey to some university chat groups. 74% of participants in the survey say that they like society-mirrored shows, such as 13 Reasons Why. 77% went on to say that they thought the show did more good than bad. Before the show, 45% would have confided in others and 48% would have stood up to the bullies, while the remaining 7% would have committed suicide. 45% of people, after having watched the show, would still confide in others if they were in Hannah's situation, and although less people, 39% to be more specific, say that they would stand up to the bullies, and 6% would seek professional help. 3% would still commit suicide, while the remaining 7% either wouldn't care about the bullying, or they would just ignore them. None of the criticisms of 13 Reasons Why mean that we shouldn't talk about suicide. We should. In fact, it's important that we do, but we need to do it right. The main reason why people don't speak up and stand up for themselves is down to stigma. However, we knew that contact-based education, when people share their personal stories of struggle and recovery, is the best way to break down any stigma, especially of those surrounding suicide. We as a society need to do something. It's now or never.